The dining room went completely silent. Forks froze halfway to mouths. My mother's hand flew to her chest. My father wouldn't look at anyone. My wife slid out of her chair and hit the hardwood floor like her legs had been cut out from under her. And my brother? He just sat there, mouth open, the color draining from his face as the evidence I'd spent months collecting played on the 65-inch TV behind me. Everyone had spent weeks telling me I was the problem. They were about to find out how wrong they were. If you've ever been betrayed by the two people who were supposed to have your back the most, if you've ever been gaslit by your own family while the knife was still in your back, hit that like button right now. Subscribe and turn on notifications because today you're getting one of the most ice-cold, soul-satisfying revenge stories I've ever told. Let's get into it. 3 weeks before that Thanksgiving, I still believed my marriage was safe. My wife, let's call her Emily, 28 years old, the woman I'd built a life with, was acting careful. Not cold, not distant in the obvious way. Careful. Her phone lived in her hand like it was glued there, but she never casually scrolled TikTok anymore. She'd angle the screen away from me so naturally it looked like muscle memory. She'd disappear for errands that took 3 hours and come home freshly showered, hair still damp, smelling like the vanilla body wash she only used when she wanted to feel brand new. When I asked if something was wrong, she wrapped her arms around my neck, pressed her forehead to mine, and whispered, "You're my safe place, babe. Stop worrying." I wanted to believe her so badly my chest actually ached with it. Then came the night my phone died right before an important work call. I grabbed hers off the nightstand without thinking. One notification slid down from the top. A message from a contact saved simply as E. "I miss you already." My stomach dropped like I'd stepped off a cliff. I told myself it was nothing. A coworker, a friend, anything but what my gut was already screaming. I opened the chat. The first photo was taken in our living room, the same gray couch I was sitting on right then. The second was an inside joke only someone who lived in our house would know. And then I saw it. My brother Evan's wrist. The exact same black ink compass tattoo he got when we were 19, resting on my wife's bare thigh. I sat there in the dark for 20 full minutes, phone glowing in my lap, heart hammering so hard I could hear it in my ears. I wasn't crying. I wasn't shaking. I was just empty. Like someone had reached inside my ribcage and scooped everything out. When I finally confronted her the next morning, she didn't scream. She didn't cry. She didn't even look surprised. She just gave this tiny, almost amused smile and said, "Well, I guess I don't have to deal with you anymore." She told me it had been going on for over a year. Over a year! She said it like she was telling me the weather forecast. "Evan just gets me," she said, shrugging one shoulder. "He listens. You've been emotionally absent for a long time, and you didn't even realize it." She never asked me to fight for her. She talked about the future, like I had already been edited out of it. I packed a duffel bag that night and left without telling a soul. Not my parents, not my friends, and especially not Evan. But I didn't disappear. I watched. I still owned the house. My name was the only one on the deed. So I installed hidden cameras in the living room, the bedroom, the hallway. Legal, all of them. I documented every single message screenshot, every timestamp, every late night visit.
I watched my own brother walk into my house like he owned it. I watched my wife laugh the way she used to laugh with me, head thrown back, that little snort she only did when she was genuinely happy. The worst part wasn't even the sex. It was the ease of it. The domestic little moments. Him making coffee in my kitchen. Her wearing his hoodie while they watched our TV. And then I discovered the second betrayal. The one that actually made me feel sick.
They'd been telling everyone a story about me. That I was cold, that I was unstable, that Emily was scared of upsetting me. Suddenly all the weird looks from my family made sense. My mom's concerned texts, my dad's disappointed sighs, my cousins side-eyeing me at barbecues. I wasn't just the difficult one anymore. I was the villain in a story my own wife and brother had written together. They finally decided to be honest with the family 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. Framed it like they were doing me a favor. Evan actually looked me in the eye and said, "I want to handle this with maturity and respect, man. Thanks for being understanding." I didn't yell. I didn't punch him. I just nodded slowly and said, "Let's still do Thanksgiving at our house. One last normal holiday. Closure, you know?" They agreed. Of course they did. They thought they'd already won. Thanksgiving morning, I looked my wife dead in the eyes and said, "I don't want Evan in this house anymore. If he comes, I leave." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't explain. I just laid down the boundary. Within an hour, my phone was exploding. Mom calling me cruel, Dad asking what the hell was wrong with me, Evan sending a single text, "Relax." No one asked why. They'd already decided I was the problem. The whole family showed up anyway. Aunts, uncles, cousins, kids running around. The house smelled like turkey and cinnamon and decades of tradition. Laughter bounced off the walls of the home I no longer felt welcome in. I played the perfect host. Smiled, refilled drinks, helped carve the turkey. When everyone was finally seated, plates full, wine poured, I stood up and said, "Before we eat, I want to share something." I connected my phone to the TV. No speech, no yelling, just evidence. Hundreds of text messages, screenshots of them planning meetups while I was at work, photos taken in my own living room, videos from the hidden cameras, my brother's voice, my wife's laugh, the unmistakable sounds of two people who thought they'd never get caught. A full year of lies laid out in crystal clear silence. The room went dead quiet. My mother covered her mouth so hard her knuckles turned white. My father stared at the table like it had personally betrayed him. One of my aunts whispered, "Oh my God." Evan tried to stand up and speak, but nothing came out except a strangled croak. Emily's face drained of all color. She slid sideways out of her chair and crumpled to the floor like a puppet with its strings cut. I didn't say another word. I just unplugged my phone, grabbed my keys, and walked out while the turkey was still steaming on the table. The divorce was brutal, but clean. The prenup my parents had insisted on before the wedding held up perfectly. The house was mine. I sold it 2 months later and never looked back. Emily moved in with Evan the same week. It lasted exactly 3 months before he left her. Apparently, he was shocked that the woman who could betray her husband so easily might do the same to him. My family doesn't talk about Evan anymore. They talk to me like I'm someone who survived a war. Careful, gentle, a little afraid I might break. I moved to a new city, started therapy, learned how quiet life can be when you're no longer braced for the next lie. The strangest part? Losing my wife and my brother felt like the end of my life when it happened. But standing here now, it feels like the exact moment I finally stopped living in a story someone else was writing for me. For the first time in years, I trust the quiet. If this story hit you in the chest and made you feel every ounce of that betrayal and that sweet, sweet justice, smash that like button. Drop a comment and tell me, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen or lived through? And if you want more Reddit revenge stories that actually feel like justice, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. I'll see you in the next one. Stay strong out there.